Well, you know what? If you flirt with disaster long enough, eventually it's going to get you, and it certainly did for the Buccaneers against the Eagles. You know, you're not always going to come down to the wire, although this game did, surprisingly. But not until the Bucs got off to just what was a horrendous start. And I'm talking about right out the chute. You know, first series of the game, they get in punt formation, and lo and behold, you know, the Eagles block a punt, return it for a touchdown. And unfortunately, Steve, it's not the first time we've seen it. Of course, the Bucs wind up losing 31-25 after getting down a whole bunch of points. At one point, they were down, 23 to 6
at the half.
23 to 6.
Yep.
Yeah. And so this game was lost very early on. But my goodness, I mean, I'm not calling for anybody's job just yet. It's not really what I do. But I'd have, and I'm sure they've had a talk before now, right? But man, I'd have to have a long talk with their special teams coach, Thomas McGahee. I mean, something is going on. And when I go back and look at the block of the field goal, which really, just gets you off on a terrible foot, the guy comes right through the A gap. And so you have the center Deckers, or the long snapper, and he's got his head between his legs like he's supposed to. All I know about since youth league is that when you're punt protecting or kick protecting, for that matter, everybody is to block inside out. In other words, both A gaps have to be stuffed with the guys next to the long snapper. Your first responsibility is inside, inside out. Well, I mean, it didn't happen, and they had their backup tight end who goes to the outside, and Deckers gets beat in the A gap, and it's an easy block and then a score. That's the third block kick this year for the Bucs, including a blocked field goal. And I mean, a couple of touchdowns off of it. And when you look up at the scoreboard and you lose by 5, it's like, dude, it doesn't take you, I'm not a math major, but that's what's costing you games right now. Well, you only lost one. I realize that, because it should cost you more than one.
No, and it's one of those, the special teams for the Bucs, although I will say the punt returns today were actually really good.
They've been good for a while. Yeah, Cameron Johnson doing nice.
Really good. And he had, 2 really long ones, another one called back for a penalty.
True.
But he looks really good. But I mean, we all thought Tez Johnson was going to be the punt returner.
Right.
After they drafted him in the 7th round, but it turns out Cam Johnson has been phenomenal back there this year. And Chase McLaughlin has figured it out. Wow, 65, longest outdoor field goal in NFL history.
Incredible.
65 yards.
And he had a 58-yarder to boot?
Yep. That, so he's kind of figured it out for whatever happened the first couple weeks. But punting has been an issue. We've talked about this, and it's now still an issue.
Right.
And, I'm not going to say that's what cost them the game, although when you lose by 6, 1 touchdown, game would have played out differently. But, all of a sudden you go, when you're down 24-6 at the half,
right,
that's tough. And that's what started it. Because your first drive, you got a couple first downs.
Mm-hmm.
You saw Chris Godwin get targeted. Bucky Irving was fine. But when you have to punt, pin Philadelphia deep and go play some defense. But instead, it's now 7-0 Philly. And, they've got the momentum now. And, that's the worst way you could have started that game. And then quickly it became 14-0, with 7:08 to go in the first quarter. So, they're halfway through the first quarter, you're down 14-0. You can't do that against the world champions.
No, you can't. And, I thought Philly kind of shut it down a little bit, tried to run the ball, tried to run clock. They may have had negative yards, especially if you take away the safety that they took at the end.
Actually, if you add the safety in, they finished the second half with -1 yards.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So otherwise, it was 33 yards.
Yeah,
in the second half. But even 33 yards. If you want to take out the safety, 33 yards in the second half is great.
Oh yeah.
Now, the problem is you gave up too much in the first half.
True.
And when you give them a free special team score, that makes it worse.
Right.
Without the punt, if it's 17-6 at the half, it's a lot different than 24-6.
Sure. I mean, it's
what
20,
you have to come back from.
It's 24-6, but like to your point, the 6 came on a record field goal, the longest outdoor field goal in NFL history, as a matter of fact. But so and then credit them. Look, they made some huge plays. I mean, Emeka Buka has a 77-yard touchdown catch. Bucky Irving has a 72-yard touchdown catch. If you're the Eagles fan or you're the Eagles, you're going, holy cow, how are we giving up one-shot scores like this? That was the only chance the Bucs had to get back in the game, and they hit them.
Mhm. Well,
But
and that
then
was those were not designed plays to go
no, no,
hit
no,
home runs.
no.
That was Baker staying alive in the pocket, and
Yes,
then
scramble plays.
Abuka taking off down the field, and then Bucky running a wheel route essentially,
Yeah.
and Baker made great throws.
He made great throws. He stayed alive in the pocket, all that stuff, and so now you're back in the ball game. But then from there, uh, just too many mistakes. I mean, too many mistakes. And then the final thing is you live and die with Baker Mayfield, right? He
Mhm.
in Houston he scrambles on 4th and 10 for a first down, right? In this game, um,
Well, he scrambled late. What was the 3rd and 8 to get a first down?
he did. He did, but when you really needed it, you were down there near the goal line,
Yep.
and he rolls to his right. And the thing that got me was understand it's first down. You know what I mean? It's not 4th down. It's not 3rd down. It's like this is you got 3 more chances potentially to try to score a touchdown
Yep.
from like the 12-yard line, 11, 12-yard line, and he forces one to Godwin that has no chance. And winds up getting intercepted in the end zone. That play, the block punt, right? You don't need any more plays and then the fumble by Bucky Irving in the red zone, which led to a touchdown. So you took one score off the board for yourself. You gave them 2. You're not going to beat a good team. You're not going to beat any team really, or shouldn't, when you make those kinds of mistakes.
Well,
And
not only that, but Baker in the first half had a near pick.
he did, yeah.
He had a fumble, and he got it back.
Lost the fumble, got it back, yeah.
But it was shades of last year at that point.
It really was.
Some good plays, but then careless with the ball.
Kind of bad Baker showed up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's the high wire act that you're gonna walk with this guy. It really is. And Tom Brady was calling the game for Fox. I was listening, and they're not nearly the same quarterbacks in any way, shape, or form, especially how they go about the game. But I'll tell you this: the one thing Tom would do is throw that ball away.
Absolutely.
Tom would live to see another down, kick a field goal, do anything before he would try to put it in harm's way and shoehorn one in there. And, sometimes what makes you great is also your biggest flaw. And, the Bucs have been living on the edge. He's been making all those plays. He's avoided the negative plays. That was his first touchdown. And, he turned into bad Baker. And it's not so much him trying to make a play. It's the situation. Like there was plenty of time on the clock. If you get any points there, you're closer to winning. You're down a score and a 2-point conversion. So even if you kick a field goal, touchdown wins the game. It's just about points. And there was 8 or 9 minutes to go. So that was a cataclysmic turnover. And, it's purely on Mayfield. But yeah, just a disappointing game in the way they got so far behind. They look, this team has plenty of fight. They're going to be like their quarterback in that aspect. They're going to fight you till the very end, and both sides of the ball will do that. But you're not going to beat good teams. And the Eagles, what have they won? 20 out of their last 21 games or something stupid like that. It's incredible. I mean, all they do is win, 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 no matter what. And I didn't think that the Eagles had a particularly good day, specifically on offense. I mean, they ran the ball very little or not very successfully. Jalen Hurts did not throw it down the field very much. He probably hurt them with his legs as much as he did his arm. And, they had him bottled up. But again, giving away those points, man, just gave you very little chance to win. And yet, they're back down there trying to score a tying touchdown with a 2-point conversion, and then Baker throws the pick, and then they get down there again, and they get the 4th down, and he ends up checking one down to Kate Otten. It was short, but so close, and yet I came out of there. Tell me I'm wrong. I came out of there thinking that while the game was close, I'm not sure these two teams are. I came out of there thinking that Philadelphia is a next level better. like a really next level better. Could you get them in the playoffs when you're playing better, when you get some of your guys back like Luke Gedeke or Mike Evans? Absolutely. And oh boy, did they miss Mike Evans.
Oh, yes. They
Not a
miss and
surprise.
Gedeke too. I mean, that offensive line. I mean,
Yeah.
Philly did a great job with their pass rush.
They did. They really
Baker
did.
was dancing around back there and running around like
Yep.
you know, he didn't have time to get back there and pass. Like
No.
in the first half, Jalen did.
Right. Right.
You know, the Bucs pass rush was not getting home in the first half.
Yeah. Second half, they played great defense, and Vita Vea with a couple of sacks.
Yep.
I thought they were really good in the second half, and then almost negative yardage. But yeah, you just and again, I think the Eagles shut it down. Like Nick Sirianni was answering a lot of questions about how bad they were in the second half and why they weren't able to keep their foot on the gas. But I think the Bucs had a lot to do with that.
I think they made some adjustments, in particular with their pass rush and blitz patterns, and they actually didn't blitz a lot. They just were bringing different people from different places.
Right, and they kept Jalen a little more contained in the pocket in the second half. I thought like he didn't have, they set the edge a little bit better and didn't let him outside and run because he beat him with his legs. But man, disappointing game. It was a great opportunity to kind of measure yourself, like we talked about before the game, and I wrote a story in the Tampa Bay Times on Sunday, like how good are the Bucs really?
Well, see, I didn't come out of that thinking that the Bucs were that far behind. I think Philly may be the best team in football. I mean, they were the defending champs, and they didn't show me anything today that says they're not a good team. Like, not one of the best, of course. But I also think the Bucs didn't play a very good game, and yet we're still in the game.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't play well. I think I don't know that they didn't play. It's more about the start. Like every game has kind of started this way. That's why they've needed these last, heroic comebacks by Baker Mayfield every week. And you do know that even though you win those games, it's like, yay, great for Baker. He's so poised. He puts them on their back, all this stuff. The reverse of that is, wow, are they fortunate to win? And let's not forget, and this is part of it too. Look, they're all NFL teams. I know Atlanta had a big win. They're 2-2 now, but going into Sunday, the teams they beat were 1-8. Okay, 1-8, and the teams they're about to play are like 10-2, including the one they just lost to. So we're going to find out, starting with this game next week at Seattle. Now the 49ers stubbed their toe and lost a big game. Liam Cohen, we can talk about
at home to Jacksonville.
At home to Jacksonville, yeah, big win for the Jaguars. But for the most part, like, you could say the Bucs really haven't beaten anybody. You play who's on your schedule, but there's no question that they're stepping up in class these next 3 or 4 weeks, and we're going to find out about who they are. But and hopefully they get some bodies back, and I don't think Evans is going to be back anytime soon.
Well, speaking of bodies back, it was good to see Tristan Wirfs and Chris Godwin back.
Absolutely, it was. I thought Wirfs played very well. Godwin was clearly rusty. Godwin has not been on a football field since 11 months ago when he, dislocated his ankle. He had a story. I don't know what day it landed, maybe yesterday, but he had a story in the Players Tribune about his ordeal. And we saw him before the game. His wife Mariah was on the field, and his son Ace, who's about 8 months old, and he's going by Chris Godwin Jr. now because out of respect for his dad, who died about a year or so ago. And coming off the field after warmups, he stopped for his wife and his son, and it was really emotional. You could see that just him getting back onto the field. It's such a tough journey. I don't think people realize when guys get hurt as dramatically as he's been these last couple times with the 3 torn knee ligaments and then this dislocated ankle, that it's such a process. But it starts with having somebody have to help you get up out of bed, and having somebody have to help you go to the bathroom, and somebody have to help you take a shower, and somebody have to help you get dressed. You're helpless for the most part for a good long while, and that would have been his wife for the second time because he tore 3 ligaments. He was coming off his first year that he was going for a contract. He's had a couple of these things happen during contract years. So he wrote a really good story in the Players Tribune about what went through his mind when he dislocated his ankle and what it was like to be back and be a dad and all that stuff. And I wrote some stuff in the Tampa Bay Times as well as a sidebar. But Chris clearly wasn't Chris. He plays better than that. He had 10. He has many targets as Ibuka. He had 10 targets, but he only caught, I don't know, like 3 or 4 for about 28 yards. And he felt like he could have gotten to a few more and wasn't necessarily, he's very critical of himself. But look, he had no training camp. He had no OTAs, obviously, no preseason. He's been out there 2 days a week for the last 3 weeks, and then they played him. But without Mike, the coverage is different. It's going to roll different. And Buka had the one big play. And that guy right now with 4 touchdowns in 4 games, he's like a top rookie of the year candidate. Period. That's how good he's been.
No question about it. He's got to be your WR1 right now too. So
absolutely, and he had the big game. He had the big play, 77-yarder or whatever.
Yep.
That puts him in that category. But I think when they go to Seattle, well, first of all, a couple of things have to be fixed, like the special teams. But when they go to Seattle, they're going to face a team that's going to have had 10 days off. And it's another 3-1 team that's really, really good at a place that's incredibly hard to play. It's one of the longest trips in the NFL other than Miami to Seattle. And so, they've really got to find a way to bounce back. And they had a whole bunch of injuries, man. Jamel Dean went down. Benjamin Morrison went down. I think they're down to their last, I don't know, 1 or 2 corners, Like Josh Hayes may be playing again before long. They're not a healthy team still. And of course, we know about the offensive line problems, although they were much better getting those 3 guys back in their normal positions. And I think they'll be even better next week. But it's going to be a slog now. It's going to be a real slog. And we're going to find out, just what these guys can do to turn it around. And for that matter, and I'm not trying to fire anybody, but Steve, what would you do? Would you make a change at the coaching, special teams coach?
I think you got. I mean, I guess you got to go to the tape and see. Is it a scheme? Is it a coaching thing? I mean, part of it, and I don't know. I didn't see the timing on it today, but like the punt block, last week with Riley Dixon, it was like he was way too slow kicking it. Like,
yeah,
what do you want the coach to do about that? Like, I don't know if today's was that. I mean, Chase McLaughlin missing a field goal. Okay, I mean, not everything's coaching. Sometimes it's the players.
Right.
Now, if it's the way they blocked and that, I mean, giving one up the A gap is not good.
Right.
And it happens once, but, this is 2 block punts and a block field goal already in 4 weeks.
Well, the thing that's been happening in this case, they had who they have, Payne Durham, who's a tight end, not an offensive lineman, tight end, is is like right next to the long snapper. Okay. And so everybody should be blocking inside to the out. Whenever Evan Deckers snaps the ball, and he's been the weak link because they spun Evan Deckers around when they came through that gap. He had one-on-one, but he's also got his head between his legs, right? And you can't touch the center until after he snaps the ball. So people have picked up something on film that's getting them inside, and inside pressure is death. Make the guy go the long way, you'll get it off. And yeah, Dixon has been really slow. And like I said, I think this was 9th or 10th blocked punt that he's had in his career. This is not a new thing,
mm-hmm.
And
which leads me to believe some of it's the player. Like,
right. He's slow. Not in this one though. I don't think any punter could have gotten this off with the inside pressure he faced. But having said that, it's like, okay, so it's the players. Well, these are your players. Okay, so figure out which ones you need to make this work. If it's offensive linemen, if it's offensive, if it's tight ends, whatever that is, you got to find 11 guys that can get the damn kickoff, and they haven't been able to do that. And I've never seen anything like it. Like there's lots of kicks blocked all over the NFL. I don't know why. I don't know why this seems to be an epidemic, whether it's just early in the season, you're playing with a lot of new guys. That always is the default excuse. Well, we got injuries and we got a lot of new guys playing in those positions. Well, coach them up, man. Coach them up or don't put them in there if they can't play it. Go find somebody else. You get the universe of football players you can tap into on every practice squad in the NFL. So I don't really buy the, new players thing. Everybody has new players, and backups are all the ones that play
Well, to me, if it's a new player, it's probably a new punter.
Right. Well,
You
that's
know,
one of them. That's
yeah,
he's
no,
definitely new.
I mean, it's definitely part of the equation.
Yeah. Yeah. Today, though, I can't put it on Riley. It came right up the middle. It's too quick.
Yep.
But that's how
But the next punt, he shanked the next punt too.
he shanked it. Yeah. Now he had a confidence problem. Now
Yeah.
he might have been in his mind hurrying it up for him, not for other people, but for him, he might have been speeding up the process a little bit and getting it
Maybe.
off.
Yeah.
But then he didn't hit it well. So you got to do it when it counts, man. And you have to be consistent. And he is a slow, you know, process punter. It takes him longer to get the ball off, and you can't live with any more blocks. I mean, they've had enough blocks to last them a season, and it cost them the game. I mean, like, you came back, but more than that, games have momentum, seasons have momentum. Now the Bucs are 3-1 again. This is the third straight year under Todd Bowles, I believe, that they've started 3-1. But the problem is, right about now is when they hit the skids. Right about now is when they lose 5 out of 6 or 6 in a row. These next few games are going to be tough games. They're not going to be favored, So can they stop the bleeding? Can they go to Seattle and eke out a win there? I don't know. San Francisco lost a terrible game at home against Jacksonville. They'll be coming here soon, So nobody's in the NFL is unbeatable, obviously. We saw the Cleveland Browns, beat up on Green Bay a week ago. So that's not good. But it was an opportunity missed, I thought. And then after the game, Levante David spoke to the club in the locker room, and Baker said his message was this, and he goes, and I couldn't have said it better. He goes, guys, we're way too talented to be starting games this slow. Like, this is every game we start slow, and we have way too much talent. We got to hold each other accountable for that, and we have to find a way to start faster, And that's true. They do. And I don't know what that way is. I don't know what the recipe is, the accountability necessarily. They've had a lot of new players in and out. That's certainly a factor, but no one cares. Everybody has injuries. So, they're 3-1. I don't think at the beginning of the season, with all the injuries they had, and then adding to it Luke Gedeke and, Mike Evans and some of these guys, if you said, well, the Bucs are going to start 3-1, everybody would sign up for that.
Yeah,
a loss
that's
to the world
perspective
champions,
you have to have.
right?
That's the perspective you have to have. Like, 3-1 through the first 4 games in the NFL is successful.
Yeah.
Period.
With a loss to the world champions. Okay.
But even if the loss was to
Atlanta,
I mean, although that's division foe, so you don't want that one. But
Houston,
the Jets or
the Jets,
Jets or Houston. If that was the loss and you beat 3-1 in the NFL is success.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now, can you do it the next 4 games? Can you go
That I don't
3-1
know.
again?
Yeah, that I don't know.
You go 3-1 every 4 games. You're 12-4 with the 17th game to play.
History tells us, at least with Todd Bowles, that they can't handle 3-1. That prosperity bothers them, and then they hit a slump right about now. And they got some positions of great, distress right now, including corner. With Jamel Dean out, with Benjamin Morrison out. And look, I'm not saying he's injury prone because he hadn't been up here long enough, but this is a guy, Morrison, that had hip surgery and a lot of those things, and he's had a hamstring, missed virtually all of training camp because of it. Now he's out again. I just don't think you sign a guy to have him replace a guy who's also hurt. You sign a hurt guy to replace a guy who's also hurt. The one guy that they got it right with is Jacob Parrish. That guy can play. He's a beast. He can play inside or out, and they're going to need him from here on out because probably be without possibly McCollum, possibly Morrison, and so you're going to need him. But it's just it's disappointing that they can't stay healthy, and that's part of football. I get it, but these guys are just dropping every single game, and they've got to find a way to that's part of it too. Like the teams, I'll guarantee you that the teams that make it to the Super Bowl this year will have been relatively blessed with health. Doesn't mean they didn't have any injuries, but it means they weren't long term and they weren't necessarily to their best players. So a little bit of luck is involved there too. But we'll see. We'll talk to Todd Bowles, in the morning. I'm not sure what his observations will be any different than after the game. He just was like, You can't have a block punt, an interception in the end zone, and a fumble and expect to win against the defending champions. And that sounds duh, but that's exactly what they did. It's what they did. And the other final thing I'll say about this, and we can get off it if you want, but like I did not think Baker Mayfield had the velocity on his passes that he normally has. I think his arm is hurt. We know it's hurt. He has a bicep injury. But I was watching him warm up, and typically he'll let it rip in warm-ups. I mean, he'll just grip it and rip it, right? He did none of that. And the other thing you say is, well, okay, he made it through the game and he hit a couple of big passes, but what passes did he turn down because he knew he couldn't get the ball there? Or which ones were knocked down because he didn't have enough velocity on it? Like those are all the things that I think about. But Baker's not going to tell you he's hurt. He's not going to do anything except go out there and play next week. But it'll be a tough one. It'll be a really, really tough one. And I think you're right. I think perspective is a hell of a thing. I think most people say, hey, 3-1, one game lead in the division with a win at hand against the team that's trailing you in Atlanta.
Yep.
You're in pretty good shape, to be honest with you. Hey, we got much more to talk about from the weekend with baseball and then college football. But first, get on down to Breitling Boutique. Please go see our friends there at International Plaza Mall. The Breitling Company's been making the best Swiss watches now for over 140 years. They've been in International Plaza for more than 5 years. Now, where you want to go is the center of the mall, second floor. That's where you're going to find the Breitling Boutique. And go in there and plan to spend some time, maybe an hour, have a drink, find out about their beautiful watches, the chronomats, and the Navitimers for the men. For your wife or girlfriend, they have sports watches. These things are very durable, very beautiful, and an array of different colored wristbands that she can choose from. And while supplies last, they've been celebrating the NFL's 104th year anniversary with 32 different NFL team watches. These are chronomat watches. They have the color of the team on the face of the watch and also the logo as well. When I was near Breitling, went by the store several weeks ago, and they still had a watch from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think one from the Jacksonville Jaguars, who had a big win in San Francisco. So they may have your team as well. These are collector's items, folks. You have to see them. It's Breitling Boutique, International Plaza Mall. And when you go, please let them know that you heard about it on Sports Day Tampa Bay. So is the Rays season now officially over? They played their 162nd game?
They played the last game. They finished 77-85.
Ooh, losing season. Okay.
The last time they had that record was 2017.
Back-to-back, no playoff seasons, too. It's been a while since they've done that,
correct.
I think.
They got swept by the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
To end the season. Although Yandy Diaz gets 300.
Nice.
On Saturday, he came in, got one hit, that got him over 300, and they pulled him and didn't play him Sunday.
That's beautiful. Back-to-back 300 seasons. Guy's a stud.
Caminero finished with, 45 home runs?
Yeah. One shy of the club record.
One shy, but, at the age 21 season, that's
insane
tremendous.
Year. Yeah, insane year. No, they did some good things. There's no doubt about that, but this is 2 years in a row now. And the Steinbrenner, when they do the post-mortem on this season, Steinbrenner is going to be a big part of it. Obviously, there'll be other issues too. Here's what I wonder, though, Stephen. There's no way around this. Like, Kevin Cash is under contract for a number of years for now, and I think he's one of the best managers in baseball. Hell, you don't have to believe me. He's won the Manager of the Year twice, and is one of the longest tenured managers as well. Just like Joe Madden had an out in his contract, I guess, when Andrew Friedman went to the Dodgers, that he could get out of Tampa Bay. I'm not sure that exists with Kevin Cash, but man, I do wonder if Cash went to them and said, because what I've been told is that he is very disappointed right now. Not so much in the Rays organization, but just the way this last couple of years has gone, particularly this year. Just wasn't like a lot to like about it, from obviously having to play in Tampa and other things. But I just wonder if he would get so discontent that he would say, you know what, guys, since you're taking over the organization and you don't really know me and you're inheriting my situation, whatever, how about I let go of the rest of the money you owe me and I just become a free agent? I think that conversation still has to be had. Maybe it's already been done. I don't know. But are we sure Kevin Cash will be back next year?
No.
I don't see how he could be.
Well, we're not. And you don't know what the owners think of it. Like,
Well, we don't. No, that's true.
now I'm guessing Kevin Cash, that conversation's not going to happen today. The team will probably switch control sometime this week.
Right.
Those conversations will come in the next couple weeks. Although, if you're Kevin Cash and you want to go somewhere else, you're going to
Sooner
want to
the
have that
better.
conversation before the end of the World Series.
Absolutely.
But
put the bug in the area right now.
The new owners, if they want to keep Kevin Cash,
he's under contract.
Well, under contract, but they, have that conversation and sell him on, hey, this is going to get better than what it's been the last 2 years.
Well, and I think that's what Cash would want to hear before, and I'm putting words in his mouth. I really don't know how he feels, but I would think that at minimum, whoever the new owners are, if you're the manager of the Rays, you want to hear from them and you want to know, okay, you guys, it's your show now. What do you plan on doing? Am I going to get players? Are we going to spend money on free agency? Or are we going to continue on with the same or worse in terms of, payroll? You just don't know. Like, I think he has to have that conversation with them.
I also wonder too, and depending on who's Kevin has talked to about things and who's actually saying things, when you start hearing maybe he's not that happy, sometimes it's just in the middle of a season like this, those feelings come out.
Especially the end of the season. Like this,
but you take a week or two after the season, get away from it. You're not in the middle of it.
Don't be so emotional.
And you look back, well, maybe it was, it's rough at the time. And there was lots of, this season was incredibly different and weird and hard. And
it was difficult
from where they played to the travel, to the schedule, to the
schedule. My God.
So it's easy to get frustrated in the middle of that.
Yeah.
There are times you can take that 2 weeks from now and go, you know what? Okay. It's next year we're going back to the Trop.
Yeah.
It's, there's going to be some normalcy to that. We're not going to have this crazy schedule. Like, and that's why you don't try to make those decisions in the middle of things and in a rush. Like,
take
some time to breathe. And the new owners are going to want that too.
Right.
And and who knows what Eric Neander's thinking as well in the front office.
That's true.
So time's going to tell. Priority number one for the owners is stadium. But in short order, they got to determine, is Neander and Cash going to be the front office and manager next year? And not just do they want them, but do they want to be back? And that's going to be part of the offseason. And then what the plan is to improve the team, because for 2 years in a row, it's not been good enough.
And I think that discussion before Kevin Cash plays his hand will be the one that he'll want to hear. He'll want to hear from the owners. What is our plan? Are we gonna be competitive for free agents? How many?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it going to be the same payroll, essentially status quo? Try to do more with less, develop players, that sort of thing. I just don't know. But I do think that change is unpredictable, but it's inevitable. Like, you want to know who your boss is, right? And if this guy isn't the one that hired you, how could he have the same loyalty as Stuart Sternberg? Or for that matter, maybe he's not a guy you're going to enjoy working for the way you did with Stu. It's just, and then what other opportunities are out there, right? The teams are going to be firing and hiring managers here pretty quickly. So if you want to get on that train, you're going to have to let somebody know fairly soon. But this is his home, right? He's got kids, like all that. I think all that matters. But it's the first thing I thought of today. Just, Cash has got to be really disappointed, and you just wonder, where he sits with this new ownership group. And I don't think we'll know for, like you said, a few more days, maybe a week. So I watched some college football, starting with Friday night's loss by Florida State at Virginia. Boy, that was not good for them. The Seminoles, I thought, had control of that game a couple times, and they let it get away.
Have you ever seen a field rush so fast?
No, it was scary. My God.
That's very scary.
Woo! The guy caught the ball, or rather, because didn't catch the ball in the end zone, and I don't think they ever saw him again. I think he may still be part of the turf there at Virginia. I think they trampled him to death. That was insane.
I'm not opposed to field rushing and that, but that's that quick and that's scary.
Well, they came off a berm, it was like a grass berm in the end zone. They didn't have to jump over a wall and work for it. they've got to, in as best they can, and I know there's a lot of exuberance in college and things like that, but as best they can, they need to prevent that altogether because
Well,
you're going to
Virginia's going to
get.
get hit with a $50,000 fine,
But
but I mean,
what is that to them though? Really, you know,
mhm.
they'd pay $50,000 for the
Yeah.
recruiting picture of the fans storming the field after a big win like that. You know, because it's collateral material that's really useful. I just, I'm fearful that they're going to end up getting somebody killed or hurt really bad. And that's about as scary as I've seen it. They came from everywhere. It was quite the rush. It would suck if you're a player on the field during that time, or anybody for that matter.
Yep.
But bad loss for the Knowles. We'll see if they can bounce back. Florida was off, I want to say.
Yes, they were. So was
And
USF.
USF was as well. Yeah.
Miami as well. So it was like,
Yeah. Full state just about. Yeah.
yeah.
The games I watched, I mean,
four top 10 teams lost. Now, granted, 3 and 6 played Oregon, Penn State.
Yeah. And then also Alabama and Georgia.
But yeah. So but Bama beats Georgia, Oregon beats Penn State,
Right.
Ole Miss beats LSU.
Yep.
So a lot of changes in the polls and rankings. And South Florida now 26th in the AP poll, just outside.
I can't imagine. I mean, they had a bye week. They couldn't do anything about their status, obviously.
Yep. No, they weren't in last week. So, I mean, but right now they're 26th. So.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, good for them. They're back on the chart. That's what matters.
Yeah, they got a Friday night game this week. So.
Do they?
I believe it's Friday. Or is that next week? I may have my weeks confused.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, they're at They're for Charlotte this Friday.
It doesn't. And I haven't looked at the schedule. Is it Florida State got Miami coming up soon?
This week, I believe.
It is this week. That's what I thought. So that Virginia may well have been one of those look ahead games. I mean, you're still talking about 18 to 22-year-olds for the most part.
I think it's a Friday night. It's in Virginia. I think the crowd was hyped. I think Virginia's a good team.
Right. Good enough to take advantage of any mistake you make.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what they did kind of. So tough loss for them. Let's see, what other games did I see? Oh, Alabama, Georgia. Alabama lost again. I think Kirby Smart is 1-7 against Alabama, which is not good for the Georgia coach.
Did you see Arkansas fired their coach, Sam Pittman? And
I did.
Who the
and
interim
I love
coach
Sam
is?
Pittman.
You see who the interim coach is?
No.
Bobby Petrino.
No, it's not.
He's back.
What a sleazeball. Sorry,
back
Bobby.
At Arkansas.
I'll say this, back at Arkansas where it all started, I'll say this about Bobby Petrino, and I can only do it this way. I don't know him. I know of him. I know what he's done to programs, but Warwick Dunn, the great Warwick Dunn, the most, charitable man on the planet, home for the holidays, all of that, really doesn't say nothing if he had a mouthful. He was in Atlanta when Bobby Petrino, whose big theme to them during that year was finish. You got to finish. Everybody got to finish. Finish was his word. So in the locker room, all that stuff. With 2 games left in the regular season, he put notes in all their lockers saying that he was off to college. And Warwick Dunn, like I said, never say anything bad about anybody, decided to take out a couple choice F-bombs to describe Bobby Petrino. I went, whoa, if you've lost Warwick Dunn, you've lost America, And but that's kind of the guy he is. I just totally haven't liked him at all. And if he had all the answers, why isn't he telling Pittman? I mean, really, you're there. You can change things. So what they really need is not a new coach. They need a quarterback. That guy did not make enough plays. I wasn't impressed at all with Arkansas's quarterback. Notre Dame beat the crap out of somebody. I remember seeing that game a little bit. In Penn State. Big game, James Franklin.
Your guy?
Yeah, my guy. I don't know.
Tom's
I'm not
guy? Tom's guy?
Tom's guy for sure. Never been a gambler. I would bet against James Franklin in the top 10 matchups every time and win. I think he's like 4-100 or something like that. I don't know what it is. It's bad.
He's 4-18, but
Yeah, close enough. But big game James, man. Cannot get it done with a top 10 team. Just cannot. And he didn't again. and he had the whiteout, and he had a home game. And, Happy Valley was not happy when it was over. So that was a good one. Yeah, a lot of good games, man, over the weekend, college football. But this week will be good because all the Florida teams will be back in action. So we'll look forward to seeing that. All right. Hey, folks, before we go, get on down to Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. We told you about them. So we're going to find the NFL team watches. They've done this with all 32 teams to commemorate the NFL's 104th year anniversary. Also have ladies watches, sports watches for her and your girlfriend, your wife. Please go see our friends, Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall, and let them know that you heard about it on Sports Day Tampa Bay. Thanks for listening. I apologize for my voice in the cold. For Steve Versnick, I'm Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Have a great day, everybody.